Okay, so we got a play request by freaky_fingers in the chat. A little suggestive, but you know, whatever, we're here for it. Playing some Grixis Archon. So this is like what it looks like, a mid-range to control style shell with like Snapcaster, Counterspell, Drown in the Lock, Lightning Bolt, Spell Pierce, Prismari Command Terminate. And then you just have like this go long game plan of, hey, eventually I'm going to find an Archon. I'm going to flip it into my yard off like a Channeler or a Prismari Command, Spyro, something like that. And then I'm going to persist it back. And honestly, it's probably a game plan that's good enough to win some number of games. So we're going to check it out. They've been playing it out in the practice lobby. This is a little bit of what they've come up with. So we're going to throw it through a league, see what happens. As always, if you've got deck suggestions, I'm more than happy to listen to them. If you ever want to guarantee that your deck gets played, then there is like a donation link down below. But if you're ever just like hanging out in chat and being interactive, and I think that's the key, like if you're outspoken and energetic and positive and interactive, then a lot of the times that I am more than happy to just like play decks, because that's what we're here for. So this is an example of that. Kind face in the chat. Interesting suggestion. Let's do it. In the sideboard, we got 2 copies of Mystical Dispute, 3 Hercule's Recall. So apparently some fear in the Artifact Dojo. What is Mana Trader sending me? Just like falsely sending me a return request. So 3 copies of Hercule's Recall, 3 copies of Leyline of the Void, 2 Damnation, a Crumble to Dust, 2 Fulminator Mage, and 2 Dragon's Claws. So we're going to see how this goes. Put it through its paces. Maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't. Who knows? Does sound like a fun deck. It does. We also have a fun deck that I want to run through a league at some point. It's not going to be tonight because the deck needs work. Actually, we don't have it on here. It's on my other account. We got this really funny Sultai Shadow list that just powers out Gurmag Angler and then neoforms it into an Archon. And we played it through probably like 7 or 8 practice league matches. And I don't know if we actually lost any of them. But it was just like the old Shadow Shell of Baubles and Thought Scourers, Gurmag Anglers, whatnot. And then just like 4 Neoforms and like 3 Archons. Just say, hey, if I get out of Gurmag Angler, one of 2 things is going to happen. I'm going to stubborn denial you out of the game, or we're just going to flip it into a 6/6 flyer that drains 3 life, draws a card, ditches 1 from you, sacks a dude. But unfortunately, I don't think media is in the chat right now, so I can't break that one out. It was our jank baby for like 2 hours. Love Neoform. Haven't thought of Neoforming an Angler yet. Sounds fun. Well, it's kind of that idea of, oh, I can get down a Gurmag Angler fairly consistently on turn 2. So what if I just untap off of that and like flip it into a Archon? His hand looks reasonable, right? And just like Channeler on 1, Tar Pit or Drown in the Lock, one of the 2 on 2. Yeah, that's the exact reason we got the Gurmag emote. Gurmy G is like legit. The truth. People say otherwise, but people are wrong. All right, what do we got here? Ragioli. Lightning Bolt's a reasonable answer to a Ragavan. So opponent revealed Gigantha. They fetched up a basic mountain. So this could just be Grixis Shadow. But Grixis Shadow fetching up basic mountain for Ragavan on turn 1 is a little awkward. Like, you're a really color intensive deck. So I don't necessarily believe this is Grixis Shadow. So I think what I'm going to do is bolt the Ragavan. And I might just play the Tar Pit and pass. So they can't dash a Ragavan back into me if they have another one. Ooh. That's an Archon of Cruelty. Yeah, I think I'm just going to pass. Like, if I'm playing this like a control deck, then Channeler is more of just a filter effect. It's not necessarily a beater. Archon in the bin. Right. Turn 2 Archon in the bin. We're doing this right, aren't we? And if they're like a Prowess deck, they might just not be able to beat an Archon coming down. No blocks. Ragioli number 2. Okay, so opponent's got 3 cards in hand. They're drawing up to 4 off this bauble, and then 5 for turn. I could Prismari Command, shoot the Ragavan, draw 2, discard 2, looking for a persist. I guess if I do that, I don't know if it makes more sense to do it on their turn or not. But I do kind of feel like I need to find persist. But I guess I've just got Drown in the Lock open. So let's pass. Yeah, we'll just pass. See what happens. If they go to like kill Channeler, I can always respond with like kill Ragavan. If they do this, then I'm pretty okay like offering the trade, and I might just drown one of these Swift Spears. All right, let's think. Swift Spear pass has got to mean either mutagenic growth or they're trying to get a light up the stage online. I don't know why they would throw away light up the stage for Ragavan. Guess maybe we can flip over Delirium. Keep that. Looks like a couple gentlemen off the board. They just got like Ragavans for days. Okay. Get out of here, bug. bolt the Ragavan. Like I said, I'm pretty sure if we just find a persist, we probably just win. Delirium's kind of hard to hit in this deck. I see that now. Like, no Mishra's baubles. Sorceries are pretty low. But it's okay because we're just going to draw the persist off the top. It's really funny because sometimes our persists look like Scalding Tarns. So Prismari command is draw 2, discard 2. So are we supposed to just like fire this off now? Like make a treasure, draw 2, discard 2 in case we hit a persist? Okay. It's okay. We're gonna find a persist eventually. Lightning bolt in my face. Okay. Come on, Dash Ragavan. Come on, Dash Ragavan. Underworld Breach for a bunch of baubles. All right. Pretty good. You're going to get to draw 3 cards off this. All right, we draw persist. We persist in Archon, draw counterspell. That's the name of the game here. Snapcaster. Well, I guess we've got like Snap Drown, Snap Prismari Command. Kind of depends on what they do. I really want to Snap Prismari Command and like draw 2, ditch 2. I think that's like how I get the highest chance of winning here. Let's go Snap Mari Command. And we'll go draw 2, ditch 2, and we're gonna make a treasure. So, place our treasure. Lightning bolt gets flipped into what? I mean, I've seen worse. I've seen worse. Let's go to combat and attack. We're going to drown this Soul Scar. I just kind of want to see if they'll, like, block and use up a spell or something. Drown and lock the Soul Scar. Play a Spyro. Auto yield because I can draw land. Okay. We are quite a ways off hard casting an Archon, but I like the way the deck thinks. Come on, persist. Guess we do need to change the stream title. Grixis. Archon control, sure, something. Date. You've got an expressive iteration. Persist. Persist. All right. I think I just want to like main phase snap drown this or snap bolt or something. Guess we snap drown in case they are running mutagenic growth. Lightning bolt in my face. And they bend a harmonic prodigy. So we're not going to attack. But if we can find a persist, the Magic the Gathering card. All right, never mind. How far away are we from a persist? Not going to show me, eh? That close. All right, we got Dragon's Claws. My board in like 2 ley lines. I don't think it's a card that I just like aggressively want, but it's a card that if it's in my opening hand, I'll play it. But if it's not in my opening hand, I probably never want to see it. What do I not want? Brazen Borrowers, probably whatever. Snapcaster's good. I'm kind of concerned that they're going to like board in something really aggressive that I just have trouble dealing with. Or Grave Hate. But we did see like almost half of our deck and didn't see a single persist. So that's pretty rough. It felt like if we just found one, we were pretty far ahead. I would love to play first. Plan worked out perfectly. So hopefully what they do post-board is bring in an artifact to hate graveyard. Prismari commanded on turn 3 and persist-archon on turn 4 in a perfect world. That's a fair assessment. Ragioli. Here's all of our copies of Dragon's Claw. Blood Moon me. Yes. I would love to use Dragon's Claw's ability. All right, opponent. Wrong formula, right result. All right. Let's do this. Always yes to this. Harmonic Prodigy. How about Harmonic Go to the Graveyard? Am I right? Okay. So we are in for the long haul. Couldn't play around Blood Moon since we could not get another blue source on turn 2. So we'll just keep gaining a little bit of life here and there. What's our land situation looking like? We've got one basic swamp, one basic island. So we can persist an Archon through a Blood Moon, but we cannot cast one. I will take one. You may have an expressive iteration. Let's cycle that. All right, so looking for basic island now. Ooh, or Fury. Fury would be a really good top deck. Guess they just have backup Ragavan. More light up the stages. Yep. All right. You managed to deal 1 to me. Carry on. Our win condition is opponent getting bored and scooping. I think I'm just going to throw Spyro in front of one of these. They want to cast a spell. Cool. I gain a life. Get back Spyro tokens anyway. Kill my channeler, sure. Basic. Carry on. Get delirium. I mean, we have delirium, but I couldn't there, right? Like they're bolting my my channeler, so like having delirium didn't matter. The old underworld breach for the prowess triggers. I respect it. Let's block you. Chump block you. Take the rest. 8. Maybe we rip another Spyro off the top. Okay. Okay. Hold up. Prismari command. We draw 2, discard 2, make a treasure. Come on, persist. Come on, persist. No. Oh, man. I mean, we've got to terminate, but we need another way of getting black mana. You're right about not ditching both Archons. I guess I was more thinking like I didn't really want to discard a spell I could actually cast. Persist. Persist. Ah. Deck, all I want is to persist. Why do you hate me so? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're not dead. Now we have to terminate. Black, red. All right, Prismari command into persist. No. Oh, man. So about these persists. Are you sure we put them in the deck? You deck. 4 copies of persist. Hold on before we get started on the next round. Food is done in the oven. I'll be right back yet again. And then we'll maybe try to persist some more. All right. We'll do our absolute best to continue the league, not chew into the microphone, but I make no guarantees. Just know that a conscious effort has been made one way or the other. But if you see me reach up a bunch, trying to mute. Show food to the stream. It's leftovers. Leftover spaghetti and meatballs with more Parmesan than you can possibly imagine. Because, like, favorite food. Pay the food streaming tax. All right. No lands, pretty easy mulligan. All right. Step one, we've got persists. I think I'm going to throw one of them back, but they exist. They're in the deck. We mulliganed. No idea if opponent's mulliganing. Yeah. Totally just ditching a persist. And we can get steam vents off this to be able to spell pierce. Only downside is it does mean Castle Lochthwain is not coming into play untapped on turn 2. But yet again, we have persist. I have no idea if that's like low enough to where y'all aren't awkwardly watching me eat. Well, I guess Botanical Sanctum could mean something like Living End. I think I might want to just get Watery Grave. Or no, what I should have done is gotten the Xander's Lounge into turn. I really forgot that that was in the deck. But I think I'm just going to get Watery Grave, Lochthwain, so I can hold up like Tainted Indulgence. Step 1, persist. Step 2. Step 3, profit. Is in fact Living End. All right, Living End, what you got? I was literally about to say Archon land would be best possible draws. Okay. Okay. Are we persisting in Archon? Absolutely. I can't imagine we're supposed to fight over this. Like, I want to, but I just don't see a world where that's right. Because we'd just be like fighting over an Archon that's going to throw a creature into their yard and then die when they living in anyway. But now it's like reasonable if they living in anyway. Like, hey, we got an Archon in the yard we get back. Not really where I want you, but I guess best case scenario is they grief again. They grief again. We fetch shock, hard cast a brazen borrower. They have to take Archon, and then they're living in, and we're like, ha ha ha. I would like to do this one. Here's more Archons. Would you like the living in now? OP, would you like to put a copy of Living In on the stack? Might even let it resolve. Big bite. You think they play main deck Endurance? Looks really funny when you lean over for a bite. I'm trying to be considerate of chat here. Okay. I I really, really want them to put a living in on the stack so I can just like let it resolve. Like, hey, here's a living end. Cool. I'm going to gain 6 life. You're going to lose 6. You're going to sacrifice 2 creatures. Discard 2 cards. I'm going to draw 2 cards. And then we're going to untap and go to combat and do it all again. Also, has anybody noticed that they haven't played a red land yet? I really want to know if that's intentional. They have fetched. They fetched off those foothills. Or is that the one they got off Waker? That might be the card they ditched off Waker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we're just gonna hold up triple counterspell. Fetching the yards from Waker. Makes sense. I really wonder if they're sitting there with like 2 violent outbursts in hand. Like, oh man, if only I could catch one of these, I would die to Archon triggers. Ooh. What are we eating? We're eating leftover spaghetti and meatballs. Alright, so just ley lines and mystical disputes. Ley lines got to be great because we proved without a shadow of a doubt last game that all we need is like 1 copy and we can get there. Brazen Borrowers, whatever. Board out some spot removal. Sego. Get this man a birthdays off. So, one of the things I did get, not necessarily for a present, I just had it from like a while back and have been planning on using it, is I got this like $100 gift card to one of my favorite restaurants. And I'm just trying to like make up an excuse to go over there because it's not like right around the corner from my apartment or anything. It's a ways off. But I need to go over there and just like burn through appetizers like nobody's business. I don't know about y'all, but I love going to a restaurant and just like not even worrying about an entree, just ordering like 4 different appetizers and just picking and choosing stuff. Like, oh yeah, I'll get like fried crab claws and mozzarella sticks, like an artichoke dip and something else, and just be like the most content person in the world. All right. We've got a ley line. We've got to persist. I don't know what more the world wants from us, but we're here for it. All right. Screenshot time. how busted Magic in 2021 has become, or 2022, whatever year we're in now. I don't know. I'm old and senile. Sweet potato fries are goated. Sweet potato fries are like premier. Ew. Ew. Can we persist back a Leyline? I don't know if anybody's run the calculations on that, but need to know for a friend. It is I. I am friend. All right, what do we got? No third land would be pretty nice here. We are going to put this somewhere that it is not going to accidentally fall over. Quicker waves, you got it. Ditch a violent outburst. Okay. Grief, sure. This is the one matchup where me playing only Dolphy Voidwalker decks feels so insane. Yeah, Dolphy is pretty goated in some of these matchups. But like all I've been playing recently are um heavy shadow counterspell decks. And like that feels great in these kind of matchups too. All right. So we do get to Prismari command, throw away these persists. Demir looked really good versus the combos too. It does. No argument there. So we're going to draw 2, discard 2, make a treasure token. Whatever, blue, whatever. Okay. That is, by all technicalities, a clock. It's not a great clock, but it's got power and toughness. And you better believe we're going to put it onto the battlefield. Hiya. pretty good one. But yeah, these like Grixis lists I've been running recently with just a bunch of counter spells, spell pierces, fluster storms, whatever. It's felt like living in creativity. A lot of those matchups are like almost a buy. How much does this activate? 3 and tap it. So I can use that, still hold up counter spell. I guess realistically, we're getting pretty close to just like hard cast Archon mana. Does hard cast a Leyline do anything for me? Not really. Like it stops future things from hitting the yard, but at the moment I'm just like not dealing with the current things. Would you like to pay 3 more? Force of negation. Oh no. Hiya. Okay. Don't have a Charlotte's agent. No Charlotte's agent. Dang it. All right. So I wonder how bad damnation is. Like if they just I mean I guess it's not getting through like grief and stuff. So it's probably not that good anyway. Cut some persists. Yeah, get borrower back in the deck. Honestly, just wasn't expecting them to have Leyline and bring it in and see it and blah blah blah. But I don't know how much I want to fight over Leyline. Like maybe I should just be like a snap bolt deck. Yuck. Slightly less yuck. I'm just throwing back like Mystical Dispute. No. Don't skip. Ooh. Ooh. Basic Forest. There's no way their hand is only basic forest, right? Opponent, if you're stream sniping, you can say so. It's fine. Leading on basic forest. A little questionable. There we go. All right, we're back to normal. All right. Why is the basic force questionable? Because it doesn't cycle for anything in the deck. Like, the card doesn't do anything other than being a basic in a hand against a Fulminator Mage. Like, I don't think it's evidence of like stream sniping or something. It just seems like the worst possible lead land wise that only has the benefit of like if they draw another basic and I Fulminator on turn 3. There seems like no other reason to play this first if you have any other lands. All right. Land. So close. Philosopher, what's up? Hope you're having an awesome Tuesday. All right. Who's going to win the race? Are they going to find a Cascade spell, or am I going to find lands first? Or are they afraid of me having a counter spell by now? Cascade spell plus mystical dispute. And I've got nothing. Got actual, factual, nothing. Ooh. So, what are the thoughts so far on this deck? I guess my biggest question would be that I don't have a great answer for is like, is it worth it to play a control shell and have Archon as like your payoff when you need a discard outlet plus Archon plus persist? So it's kind of like a combo finish. Um, but if you're playing a combo finish, like, why not just be a combo deck? My first reaction is that Archon seems so busted, it seems more worth it to build a deck around getting Archon out as soon as possible. So that's kind of what we talked about with some deck building ideas before we started the league. Like, we suggested Unmarked Grave and Tainted Indulgence and that kind of stuff. Just be like a turbo Archon deck. Um, Whether that's right or not, I have no idea. But I do agree that Archon's like this insanely good card that kind of just wins games on its own. That you don't really need Archon as like the payoff for some other shell that's not just aggressively getting Archon back. Because instead of doing that, you could just be aggressively getting Archon back, right? Like, why have Archon as the finisher in your control deck when you could just have Archon deck? Tried blue-black control with fairies that I got from Son of Gohan that use Shadow Prophecy, but if they shut down the combo, it's hard to win. True blue-black controls that I got from Son. So you mean like this deck with just blue-black and fairies? They're saying if they shut down the combo, but like fairies doesn't have a combo. Was it like fairies with persist-archon or something? Yeah, with Archon. So again, that kind of makes me wonder, like, is it worth doing like a persist Archon in a deck that's like not devoted to persist and Archon? Like, I don't know if that's worth it or not. It was my initial gut reaction. I kind of think what Steven's alluding to is like, why why play like persist Archon and in your control shell when you can just like play persist Archon good stuff? Oh boy, it's a lot of snapcasters. And like, if you're playing a control shell, and so, all right, here's my thought. Um, if you're playing a control shell and you get to the point where you can get an Archon, you control the game enough to get an Archon in the yard, resolve persist, getting it back, and go from there. Like, couldn't those cards just be other good stuff and like you're fine? Do you need Archon and persist? Couldn't they just be like more counter spells or more interactive spells and like you'd be completely happy with that? All right. Ditch an Archon. This list has been nickel and dime grinding fairly well. That could be a way to go. I mean, I just don't know like enough about Archon decks. Like, I think one of the reasons that creativity is so successful is you've got like creativity itself that just consistently finds Archon on turn 4, and your backup plan is like 1 or 2 persist in case they deal with your Archon. Um, but this is more like, hey, I am aggressively trying to get a good control deck going, and we'll figure out the Archon plan as we go. I don't know. I guess to me, it's just like, it's questionable. I get the premise of it. I just think, I don't know if it's worth the slots to make that premise work. But I 100% admit I have not played this deck nearly enough to be able to make any sort of uh, judgment like that. So I'd absolutely defer to you. Just in my limited Magic experience, usually when you get to a deck building idea that involves something like, all right, I need part A and part B, or I need part A to make part B functional, and you aren't seeing like part A and part B consistently, or you're not designed to get part A and part B consistently, then you run into that issue of like, all right, I found part A, I didn't find part B, and my deck just like stops functioning. Juicebox coming in with another bit donation. Appreciate it so much. You're awesome. Other thought would be to replace Archon and Persist with Ledger Shredder and Ragavan. I mean, if your goal is to make like a good blue-black control or Grixis-based control deck, that's probably fine. It really just depends on what your goal is. Like, I think the idea with Archon is like the card is so over the top good that it doesn't make sense to run it as like a supplemental piece to another game plan when you can just run it as your game plan. I think I'm just going to get back Spyro tokens here. Or maybe it's a situation where like the primary game plan hasn't felt good enough that like running the whole persist plan as the backup is worth it. Like, all right, if I cast Spyro here and I hit persist, I feel like I just win the game, right? But if I cast Spyro, I got to give up these to like go for persist. And I don't know if that's worth it. So I'm kind of like in this limbo state with the deck. Like, I want to be a control deck, like you said. I want to play my terminate and my counterspell and whatnot. Uh, but that plan of persist is just like, hey, if I hit this, I win. So why not build my deck to just hit that? All right, I want to hold up this counter spell so that I can interact with something and then untap and Spyro and get the value. But I'm giving my opponent so many draw steps by just hitting them with 2 1/1s every turn, when I could be trying to find Archon and just like ending the game on the spot. But I guess at the same time, like, that's kind of my inner shadow player talking. Like, hey, why worry about value when I can just end the game? Feel that I normally play Grixis Shadow for paper. Yeah, like, that's one of the things that really attracted me to Grixis Shadow when I was first, like, picking up the deck, was just how many games do I end up winning, because instead of worrying about, like, slowly grinding my opponent out of cards, like, what would happen if I just said, hey, I'm going to do this thing and we're not going to be playing Magic anymore because I've already, like, signed the match slip and moved on. Then obviously this is not helping the scenario. But I mean, I've seen all 4 Archons. I haven't seen a persist. So these Archons have just been 4 dead pieces of paper. Like, so that is the top 35, 37 cards deep was the first persist. Mike's also really good at drawing one half for the other. So that's just a matter of playing to my style, right? Like, I can't imagine their Saga with Dothies. That's like what we were going over last round, right? Is, hey, how do you fight these games where you draw the wrong half? And that's always been a really rough a rough decision to come to with me, because, like, I adamantly despise playing decks where you have, like, such a big wrong half, like ramp decks, because there's always going to be a large number of games where you draw the ramp pieces, none of the payoffs, or the payoffs and none of the ramp pieces. Or a deck like this where if you don't see a way to discard Archon, draw the Archon, and find the persist, then you've got functionally 8 pieces of dead cardboard in your deck. So it's like, I appreciate these decks. They're cool. I've got terrible track records with them. Which is probably has a lot to do with why I'm like critical of these decks. Is because I'm always thinking like, what's the worst case scenario? Like, what does the deck look like if you don't do the thing? Because knowing me, I'm not going to do the thing. Like, I'm going to have a very mediocre, depressing rollout. So, what does the deck look like to me? And for like example, this game, the deck's rolling out pretty well, right? But it has like nothing to do with Archon and Persist. It has to do with Spell Pierce, Lightning Bolt, Counter Spells, Seasoned Pyromancer. And until I see an Archon, like this is just anything I could have ditched to Tainted Indulgence. So they're just duressing me. That's fine. Like, until I draw Persist, this Archon could have been any piece of cardboard whatsoever. And I get the same effect out of it. But now this Archon is like dead. It's not dead, but it's not great here. All right. Let's try to do the thing. Are we going to get to? Are we finally going to put an Archon into play in game like 7 or 8 or something of this league? Nope. Stopped by a scavenging ooze. Oh no, they needed the green off the proving ground. They didn't have a green open. Ah, such a punt. That was an actual factual punt. All right. Bolt you. They eat the Spyro. They eat the Spyro. All right. Less punt. Give me back the Archon. See just how we planned it. It was fine. We were in complete, total control the entire time. Ditch a Soul of Windgrace. All right, then they're going to play something. And we're just going to Spell Pierce, and they're probably going to concede to that. Yep. Okay. First off, I would like to thank my opponent for playing Scavenging Ooze in the year of our Lord 2022. Big props to that gentleman or lady. Second item on the agenda, we're going to try out the cookies and cream Twix. Because apparently this is an abomination that needed to be put into stores. I'm terrified. I believe the chocolate cream's fine, but there's like a chocolate interior that I think is just overwhelming. Too much chocolate interior. Could be worse, but nice. All right, so Tainted Indulgence is going to find us Archon land. It's no longer going to find us Archon land. Dying over here. Sorry. It's just going to find us third land and something. Never mind. Okay. Okay. We're doing stuff. Can we talk about how good these Tainted Indulgences have looked, though? Like, these Tainted Indulgences have been clutch at hitting Archons. All right. I was going to say, we untap, we win this game. And it's like not even close. Untap and let us have a bunch of counter spells with an Archon attacking. Just go ahead and drown this. All we've got in exile right now is a persist, so that's whatever. Now they have to sack one of their tokens. This is like the power of Archon, right? Like, do you need anything else besides it if you just get it into play? Card is kind of nutty. Tear asunder. Oh no. Whoops. I got the wrong land. All right. We win a match. I feel bad that it had to be against Boomer Jund. Like, that deck needs some love. Like, if that deck's not beating ours, what is it beating? Sorry, Steven. All right, on to match 4. On the draw. Ooh. We'll give it a shot. Do you think Jund Saga is going to be better in the new meta without Yorion? Tough to say. Like, when I think about Jund Saga, it's got like the classic mid-range issue, right? Of you just don't know like what it's really got going for it that pushes it over the top. And I think that's gonna still be relevant. Like, there's still gonna be 4-color decks, and there's still gonna be a lot of decks that just like outpace Jund. So I think for Jund to be like in a good position again, it needs to find something that it's doing better than other decks. And I think it's just like at least temporarily kind of lost that bit of its identity, right? Because it used to be, oh, this is the go over the top mid range deck. And now it's not the go over the top mid range deck anymore. 4-color is. Like, it for a while it was the tempo deck. You thought sees into Tarmogoyf, and like that's gonna find a way to win you the game. But now with like Murktide, it's not the go over the top tempo deck anymore. So what about like the pressure combo deck? Hand disruption into a threat with like a Liliana. But now you have like Grixis Shadow that just does that better. So the strength of Jund, I guess, is like versatility, but I don't know. It seems like there's more versatile decks out there that are answering things better. So I love the Jund colored pie. I just haven't seen like what the payoff for Jund is, and that's what I want to see. I want to see Jund do something really, really well. So 2 damage here. I'm going to draw 2, discard 2. So I guess we're supposed to save one of these Archons in hand in case they find an endurance. Like, Jund Saga does have a little bit more going for it, because getting access to, obviously, Saga is extremely nice. I just don't know if that's, like, enough to really put it on the map. Alright, don't endurance me. Nice. Land. Take it. Like, maybe it's just me, but I feel like when I play against Jund Saga a lot, it's kind of that, oh, this is the deck that sort of goes over the top of other mid-range decks. But only if those other mid-range decks are like Death Shadow. You know what I mean? Well, if this had been a blue source instead of Lochthwain, we might have had a chance to save that Archon. The old tap out for expressive iteration. Alright, so red. And I guess we'll discard counter spell because they've got the Cavern of Souls out, so I can possibly kill a threat with Drown, but I can't counter it. Like, what is going back to the Jund Saga thing again? A third copy of Risen Reef. What is the what's the big like payoff for Jund Saga? What's the, oh, this is what the deck does, this is why you play it? Alright. So I'm gonna counter this so that they don't get Risen Reef triggers, and I get to hopefully untap Snapcaster on the persist for the Archon and hold up counterspell, and they can't interact too well. So let's go double. I guess it doesn't matter too much. Double blue. Off you play a blue. Target persist. Persist target Archon. Leyline Binding is going to catch a counter spell. Already played our land for the turn, so let's crack in. They ditch a Fury, which is kind of interesting. I guess like Fury could clear up a lot of this stuff on the ground. It's gonna die to the Archon attack, but maybe if they found something else. All right, Fulminator's reasonable. Damnation's probably good enough. I'm kind of expecting them to just bring in a bunch of endurances. So maybe just like counterspell for planeswalkers and pray. But yeah, when you sign up for a tournament with Jund Saga, what is it you're like hoping to run into? What matchups are you just like, yeah, this is why I registered this deck? I registered Jund Saga to play against blank. All right, I'm really hoping I can find another non-red source here so that I can Tainted Indulgence or maybe even Drown in the Lock. Hoping to run into your mom. Oh God, I'm so good. It's a fair answer. All right, I'm not casting anything else if I don't tar pit. What you got? Okay. What is my plan from here? They have like an endurance on my upkeep. I'd recommend Jund Saga if your meta has a lot of burn, aggro, creature-based decks. I've also had a really solid win rate against Hammer Time and Murktide playing Jund Saga. I guess that's fair. Like, if you've got a good Hammer Time and Murktide matchup, then maybe it's worth it to just say, like, all right, I've got a rough time against the 4-color money pile. If you got to pick and choose your battles. All right. Well, if they do decide to go for an endurance, then we can Drown and Lock the Risen Reef in response. Just pass and see what's up. Cascade matchups are an uphill battle. see that as well. I bought Omnaths and was building 4-color. Found out Sunday night that there's a ban announcement on Monday, so now I have to build a different version of it. Well, I mean, like, these 4-color elemental versions are just fine, right? I think if you're looking for a version of 4-color, then like they're most of the 4-color shell. Just throw in your Kahira, call it a day. All right, let's go for a drown into turn. I'm really trying to kind of like bait the endurance so that maybe I can just untap indulgence. Just don't know how I'm going to build it. Yeah, so let's pull up Respect the Cat's list. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Respect the cat. So they ran this list to like 414150 earlier today. And I mean, it's just like the elemental base, like we talked about Omnath, Solitude, Fury, Endurance, Elidomer's Call, whatever. Most of the cheap interaction that we know. Fixed mana with abundant growth, Ren and 6 to Fairy. Like, deck looks solid. I think it's kind of an archetype where I do believe that a lot of the variations will converge into this elemental shell, but it's still a situation where you could more than likely just run what you want to run and you'll be fine. Like, I don't think you need to really stress out about it. Like, oh, I've got to play X, Y, Z. Like, land. Don't have an endurance. It's like a big ask with all the cards they've got in hand. Yep. Endurance, pitching endurance. Needed a counter spell to try to hold up and stop that, but oh, I really want Mystical Dispute, but like if they just have a Cavern of Souls, the card's dead. But it's like the only way to interact with stuff without them accruing like some insane amount of value. Ragavan. Maybe I was supposed to evoke Fury there and hold up Tainted Indulgence. So I could try to hit the third land and Fulminator. Probably could have been better. Never mind, never punished. I old Flamekin Harbinger. All right. I guess we're just gonna have to like let them have the Risen Reef, and then if we hit the land, Fury. If we don't hit the land, Damnation. Are they just gonna hold up Endurance? Okay. No land into play is both good and terrifying for us. Well, if they had a Solitude, I'd assume they would have like Solituded, killed this with the trigger on the stack to get the Risen Reef trigger. Endurance number 2. Target me's. Let's Snapcaster, Drown in the Lock. Blue. How many times must we teach you this lesson, old man? Fetch, Shock, Omnath. go ahead and shock it in. Solitude Ephemerate. Solitude Ephemerate and Dash a Ragavan. Okay. I guess they're going to have red mana one way or the other. Or not red mana, white mana one way or the other. Ragavan Unknown. Uncounterable Pirates. Love it. I would like to flash in a Snapcaster Mage. Terminate so that I can try to Snapcaster plus Creeping Tar Pit, make it a 2-turn clock. Say fairies circa 2019. If you play Cavern Ninja, is the ninjutsu uncounterable? I don't believe so, because I think this is just like to cast creature spells, not to be used for like activated abilities. And ninjutsu, I'm pretty sure, is not casting. So they would have had to have drawn Unholy Heat, right? Let me double check ninjutsu real quick. MTG, Ninja of the Deep Hours. Yeah, it's not casting, it's just activated ability. Wasn't a dumb question at all. Ninjutsu's a weird ability. Like, it feels like it should be cast because you're putting this creature from your hand onto the battlefield. Killing with Creeping Tar Pit's incredible. I'm not complaining about it, that's for sure. All right. What do we got? Killing with Creeping Tar Pit's incredible. It's up there on my list of favorite things to do in Magic. reply to these Facebook happy birthday posts. What do we got? Hand looks reasonable, right? We've got Channeler. We've got Brazen Borrower on 2. We've got Spyro to ditch this Archon. Is this deck supposed to be running in Expressive Iteration? Is that a card we're like just missing out on? Snow-covered forest. What deck in Modern starts off with a snow-covered forest? No companion. Is this like an Ice Fang Quaddle? I was like halfway kidding about the Ice Fang Coatl thing, but apparently not enough. It's just Bant Ephemerate. Alright, so let's go. Play Spyro. Ditch Archon, but we can't get Delirium online, so I guess we'll just ditch Brazen Borrower. Moose Master, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having an awesome Tuesday so far. Appreciate you coming around and hanging out with us. Don't company me. I said don't. All right, so easy persist off the top. They whiffed on a company. Oh, man. They Whiffed on a collected company. Love to see it. And indeed, happy birthday, my dude. I appreciate it. Very kind of you. Do I want to just like Prismari command, shoot this, make a treasure? I think I'm actually going to. Or just like get a dude off the board so all the blink stuff gets worse. Treasure lets me hold up counter spell. Ice Fang is fine. Soul Herder, however, is not fine. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different CMCs. 0, 1, or 0, 1, 2, 3, 8. So I'll keep this. What did opponent say? I guess talking about the company with. Said MTGO is a cruel mistress. Yep. Black, blue. Bin that. All right. I think I'm just going to swing all into this Ice Fang. And go ahead and persist back an Archon. I don't think their deck plays Endurance. They can very easily just untap in Solitudes. Like, maybe it was better to wait until my next turn. But I'm kind of thinking they have to main phase the Solitude, in which case I do just have like a bunch of interaction. You just play 2 in the main deck on this deck. That sounds about right. Yep. All right. So they almost assuredly have an Ephemerate. So I think for the sake of being mana efficient, I'm going to go for Snap Bolt. Happy last minute of your birthday. I got an hour and a minute over here. Thank you very much. All right, so let's terminate the Solitude, and we can just like Snap Bolt target them, but it doesn't matter. We've got lethal dudes. Your time zone? Well, clearly we're going by my time zone, right? Happy birthday, dude. Cheers. I appreciate it. Very, very kind of you to say. Let's feed the kids. We need some kid feeding here. Got a Brazen Borrower. Don't want to bounce anything. Spell Pierce. underwhelming hand. I think we can do better. That is by all technicalities better. And like Grandpappy Control Freak always said, bolt the bird. Okay. I'm guessing this means they just have like a handful of collected companies, right? 7 of them. Red, whatever. Stitch, just go Archon Delta. Okay. Yeah. Carry on. Oh, you're tapped off of a potential ephemerate. Not that I really care about them ephemerating a soul herder. But I'm assuming they don't have a company because they would have cast it while I was tapped out there. And that kind of played like they had ephemerate. Aether Chandler. Okay. Scalding Tarn's a reasonable draw. Now it can have both Counterspell and Terminate. Counterspell one of these things. You're allowed a little bit of value. You're not allowed like some absurd amount. Don't go crazy here. Don't get greedy with the value. Opponent has played into our trap card. Opponent has played into our trap card once more for a second time. Hiya. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm required by law to just hold that up and not Spyro. How many times must we teach you this lesson, old man? All right, Spyro. Find me a drown or a counter spell. I guess. I guess. We'll do that. Woo. Positive. All right. What do we think of this deck? So, one of my my most common critiques of decks is I feel like a lot of times decks are pulling in too many different directions. And I think that's kind of the case with this one. Like, I think a lot of the card choices are really good. I think Spyro's an excellent card in an archetype like this. Snapcaster was really fun. I think like the Persist-Archon is a really strong synergy. Prismari Command's a solid card. I think the thing that I run into is I'm kind of concerned that like the Persist-Archon plan might be just like need a different set of support pieces than the rest of the deck. Like when Persist-Archon goes on, it looks fantastic. But when we were like missing either the Archon in the yard and we had Persist, or had the Archon in the yard, couldn't find Persist, that part looked a little clunky. But it could have been a variance thing. It might not have been a deck list thing. But I just don't know if the deck's like trying to go really in the Grixis mid-range, Grixis control route, or if it's better being like a Persist-Archon deck. So, oh shit, we still streaming? Yeah. Wouldn't be a birthday stream if we stopped too quickly. But yeah, Freaky Fingers, like, I think the deck's got potential. I'm just not familiar enough with like Persist-Archon strategies to know like whether you need to be building more around that part of the deck, or whether you're better off playing like a more mid-range or control shell. But I feel like your decisions for everything outside of this is really solid. Like, I like this foundation, and this almost seems like too many cards to include that package. But if you're liking Archon, then I would just probably like lean more into Archon and go with that. And I think it'll be solid. But otherwise, good deck. That's some good communication. Let's fucking go. All right. So I told Steven I was going to run some Rakdos Shadow. So we're going to run that next.